before we listened to that talk, we turned on the tape recorder, the VCD. Maybe something had irritated us, and we thought, I need to replace this irritation with something better. I'll listen to a talk. I haven't listened to one for a few days. I know I need to listen every day. I'll listen now. When we concentrate on that talk, on listening to every single word, if we are concentrating, if our minds are very calm, we will hear something that we have not heard before, because we will understand at a more profound level. Because in our calmness, in our serenity, we have reduced our wandering thoughts just enough to allow the perfect wisdom that we already have within us to surface for just one tiny second. But in that second, we understood more clearly something that we hear on that tape. This is why we listen to teachings over and over. For those who speak English, who do not speak Chinese, cannot listen to all the hours, the thousands of hours of teachings in Chinese, cannot read the books in Chinese. We have probably all, at some point, given rise to irritation, to unhappiness, that we have so little to learn. But have we perfectly learned everything that has been translated of our teachings? Those of us who work on the translations have worked on them for some time. We have not learned them perfectly. So I will hazard a guess that those who listen, who read, have also not learned those teachings perfectly. We have enough to listen to read, because we have not yet perfected those teachings. We have Liao Fan's 4 Lessons translated. A second edition will be out shortly. Several people have been working very hard on this for the past year, trying to improve our understanding, trying to improve our ability to express that understanding. This will be finished, hopefully, soon, and then printed. Liao Fan's 4 Lessons has an unbelievable amount of good teachings in it. It has everything we need to know. Teacher has said, for those people today, as great Patriarch Ingguang said at the beginning of the last century, people in his time, over 100 years ago, had difficulty understanding the sutras, and they were reading them in Chinese. They understood classical Chinese. Many people today who can read Chinese cannot really understand classical Chinese. And Master Ingguang, Patriarch Ingguang, the 13th patriarch of the Pure Land School, said, read 3 books. One of them was Liao Fan's 4 Lessons. And at a time when printing was much more difficult, much more expensive than it is now, he printed over 1 million copies of the 3 books he recommended. It has been recommended that we read the book Liao Fan's 4 Lessons 300 times. We also have the commentary on it, Changing Destiny. That is what we are working on the 2nd edition of. Read Liao Fan's book to his son 300 times. As we read this seemingly very small book, very simple story, we will understand it more deeply each time. Read the commentary to understand it more deeply. Listen to the talks. We have everything we need in that book, in the commentary. Liao Fan's 4 Lessons is all about greed, anger, and ignorance. Because Mr. Liao Fan had all of these. But Mr. Liao Fan had the unbelievable good conditions to meet a good teacher. A good teacher is not necessarily the most famous, the most brilliant, the most articulate teacher. A good teacher is one who knows proper teachings and whom we have a good affinity with and can learn from. Mr. Liao Fan met his good teacher. He listened to his teacher. He very honestly answered his teacher's questions. And he paid very close attention to his teacher's answers. And he remembered everything he was taught. And he practiced those teachings from that moment on. When he left his teacher, he went to the statues of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and he prostrated to them out of respect for the teachings. Then he thought long and hard about what his faults were. He was greedy. He very often lost his temper. He was very unkind to others. He didn't think about the feelings of others. He was very arrogant. He thought of each of his faults, and as he realized each fault, he corrected it. Those of us who have tried to do this realize how exceptional this man was. He wrote his book 500 years ago. He is well known throughout China. In other countries, his books have been translated. 500 years later, he is remembered. His book is widely printed. How many people can we say this of? He was very special. What he wrote was very simple, but very true. We can learn from what he has written. How do we change? We need to practice patience and tolerance. We are patient with others. We are patient with ourselves to the degree that we understand why we are doing something wrong. But while we forgive the mistakes of others, we do not simply forgive our own mistakes. We cannot afford to say, I'm human. I've lived many lifetimes. I've made these mistakes for many lifetimes. I will try to do better, but if I cannot, I'm only human. Forgiveness is for others. Courage, determination is for ourselves. We cannot expect that we will change overnight, but we can expect to make regular, daily improvement. If we are correcting mistakes daily, then in 3 years, we will have made wonderful progress in our cultivation. But if we are only correcting one fault every few weeks and feeling very good about this, we are really falling back. Because we are not correcting our faults quickly enough. We need to be correcting them daily. Mr. Liao Fan had pledged to do 3,000 virtuous deeds. It took he and his wife 10 years to do this. The second 3,000 deeds they accomplished in 4 years. So he too had difficulty finding, correcting his faults. What happens to us today has been destined by what we have done in our past lives. We have to do great goodness, great evil, to change what is destined to happen in this lifetime. And that is what Mr. Liao Fan did. He accomplished great goodness. Not only did he start to change his destiny in his current life, within 1 year of learning how to correct his faults, he started to change his destiny. A very rare individual. he met a good teacher that he had a strong affinity with. But if we are all sitting in this room listening to these teachings, then we too have met a good teacher. We too have good conditions, good affinities. We too can learn. We can change ourselves in an instant. It all comes from within. Everything we need is already within us. We only need to stop thinking of ourselves, to think of all others, to give up any thoughts of selfishness, to realize that we are all one. When we do this, when we change from within, from the heart, from the mind, we will think as Buddhas do. And in that instant, we are a Buddha. We carry that thought with us. We enlarge that thought till it is our only thought. We cultivate the teachings, we practice, we listen to our teacher. If we do this with absolute sincerity, then our every request will receive an answer. And we too will awaken. We too will become enlightened. We too will uncover our perfect compassion and wisdom. Thank you. Let us read the dedication of merit together. May the merits and virtues accrued from this work adorn the Buddha's Pure Land, repaying the 4 kinds of kindness above, and relieving the suffering of those in the 3 paths below. May those who see and hear of this all bring forth the heart of understanding and live the teachings for the rest of this life. Then be born together in the land of ultimate bliss. Homage to Buddha Amitabha. masters, fellow practitioners, and guests. When we practice Buddhism, there are many guidelines that we can use to practice. One of these is to practice as bodhisattvas do, and this is to follow the 6 paramitas. The first of these is giving. Giving is to give what we have, to give what others need. Giving can be of 3 kinds. It can be of wealth. Usually when we say giving of wealth, people think of donating money to a church, temple, or an organization. This is only one of the many kinds of giving. We can also give our possessions. We may not have great wealth to give, but we can give things that we have. We can also give of our internal wealth. When we see somebody is doing something that is good, that is proper, we can help them to do so. At first, when we practice this kind of giving, we may feel a little grudging about doing so. But the more we practice giving, the easier it will be to do more in the future. The second kind of giving is that of teaching. This can be anything we know that another does not know, that the person has indicated they wish to learn. When somebody wishes to learn something that we know, we continue to teach them as long as they express the wish to continue learning. But in our teaching, we are to hold nothing back. If we do hold something back, this is known as grudging teaching. The result of this in the future will be ignorance. But if we teach others wholeheartedly, without holding anything back, we will gain wisdom in the future. From the giving of wealth that we just spoke of, if we practice this giving, we will gain wealth in the future. If we help others, we practice physical giving, then in the future, when we too are doing something proper, others will come to help us. And the third kind of giving is that of fearlessness. This can be as magnificent as giving our life to save another. It can also be as wonderful as seeing somebody who is upset and doing whatever we can to comfort them, to make them feel less worried, less upset, more calm, more at ease. When we give this third kind of giving, we will gain healthy, long lives in the future. If we know people who now are very wise, it is because in their past lifetimes they practiced the giving of teaching. If we know those who have great wealth, it is because they have given wealth in the past. Often when we think of wealth and look at people who have wealth, we may begin to doubt the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect tells us that every thought, word, and deed will have a result. More than likely not in this lifetime. Maybe in our next lifetime. 10 lifetimes from now, 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes from now. But when the conditions are correct, every cause that we have generated will have a result. This may seem very logical and sound very realistic, but we may begin to doubt when we look around us. All of us know people who are very good, who help others. They're very kind, very caring. They constantly think of others. They do not think of themselves. When others want to know something, they share their wisdom. When others are upset, they comfort the people. They constantly help others. But in this life, they may have many problems, and they may have very difficult lives. They may have barely enough money to survive. When we see this, we may begin to doubt cause and effect. We may think, these people are so good. They do everything they can to help others. Yet their lives are so difficult. Where is cause and effect? We live in one very, very small instant of time called a human life. We may feel this is a long time, but actually this life of ours is very short. In our past lives, we have done many things that we do not know about. Not knowing of them, we do not understand everything that is going on. We may see that in this life, people are very good, but we do not know what they have done in their past lifetimes. In our former lifetimes, we all have done much that is good. But we have done much that is bad. We have hurt many people. And if we think back on what our thoughts were like today, what we said, what we did, we will realize that it is very likely that we have done more that is wrong than what is right. Because we are currently living as humans. But in past lifetimes, we have lived in other realms. And we have not had the opportunity to practice goodness in those realms. So we do not know what we have done before. But we are taught that what we are going through now is the result of those past lifetimes. People who are having very difficult lives now have done much that is bad. They have hurt others. This is why they are having difficult lives now. We also see people who are not very nice, who are very selfish, very cruel. They do nothing to help others, and they have immense wealth. They have no fears of hunger. They have no fears of where will the money come from to support their family. If they want something, they buy it. They need not ask the price. They seem to have lives of great freedom, great ease. And when we look at what they're doing, it can be very puzzling, because they are doing nothing that is good, but they are living very comfortable lives. Again, in the past, they did much that is good, and that is why now they are enjoying such benefits. When we undergo difficulties, try, and this is very difficult, but try not to feel angry or resentful. Try not to feel self-pity. Poor me, I'm trying to do what is good, but everybody gives me a tough time. Nothing is going well. I cannot find a job. I don't know how I will support my family. If instead we can understand that what we are undergoing is because of what we did, there is no other being that says, you will have a very good life. You will have an unbelievably difficult life. Good lives, difficult lives are because of what we think, say, and do. If we can understand this, we will understand that the difficulties now are repaying debts that we owe. If we cannot feel resentment, but if we can understand and say, I don't want to live like this in the future. So, I will practice giving. I will help others. I will teach others. I will help others feel secure. I will give of my physical strength. If I don't have money to give, I can give other things. There are many ways we can give. But I will give without thinking of self-benefit. And I will think only of helping others. When we do this, we are creating the seeds that will bring us good lives in the future. All this comes from giving. Also understand that we may be having difficult lives because of the bad that we have done. But because of the good that we have done, things may have been even worse if we had not done good things. Cause and effect is very simple. Do something good, receive something good. Do something evil, receive something evil. Cause and effect is unbelievably complicated. It is connected through all of our lifetimes, through the past, present, and future. All the threads of what was done, what will happen, are beyond our beginning to understand. But we don't need to know each connection to believe in cause and effect. Think about people who were born and as very young children have exceptional talents. Mozart is an example. At the age of 6, he was composing beautiful pieces of music. When he would write a piece of music, he would write the whole thing and never need to correct it again. Why was this person born with such unbelievable talents? An excellent case for reincarnation, excellent proof of cause and effect, of what he had done in former lifetimes being connected in his current lifetime. We don't need to understand it all. We simply need to believe that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas would not lie to us. And they tell us we cannot take physical things with us when we die. We cannot take our possessions. We cannot take our friends, our family. We take none of these. What follows us is cause and effect. What we can take with us is the 10 great vows of Universal Worthy Bodhisattva: to respect, to help others. We take nothing else. But if we want our lives to be better in the future, we practice giving now. And if we practice sincerely, if we practice from our true nature that we have within us, that all of us have, this is the same nature as Buddhas, Bodhisattvas have. If we practice with sincerity, perfect sincerity, no selfishness, thinking only of others, without any expectation of reward, then we will be in touch with our true nature. When we give $1 to someone that we see that obviously has nothing and who is asking for help, if we spontaneously just give, we don't think, we don't analyze the situation. They are hungry. They have no home. They need help. We just give them $1. And we do not think of it again. We do not think that I gave, they received. We do not think of what we gave. We just give without attachment. When we do that, we are giving from our true nature. And when we give, the benefits from this are infinite, because they are in touch with our true nature. They arise from that nature. And that true nature is the same in everybody. We are not individuals. We are all one. To give, to help others, should be as natural, as spontaneous as my trying to pick up a cup that is too heavy to lift with just one hand. I do not need to think, okay, the cup is very heavy. What can I do? What are my choices? What else can I do to lift that cup? Oh, I have another hand. I can use that hand. With 2 hands, I can lift it. We obviously don't need to go through this process. We can be talking to somebody, feel thirsty, The cup is too heavy. We continue talking, concentrating on our conversation, and with both hands pick it up. We do so because we know one hand, the other hand, are part of the same body. So one automatically helps the other. This is how spontaneous, how natural we need to be in helping others. We give to help all others. We give without attachment. We often speak of attachments, and we need to understand what these are to practice giving. Attachments are thinking of, wanting something, having thoughts of it. An example is a story about two monks who came to a wide stream. The water was very deep, and there was a very pretty young lady standing on their side of the stream. And she was trying to get to the other side, but she could not manage it on her own. She turned to the two monks and asked if they could help her. The older monk said, "No problem," picked her up, carried her across the stream, put her down. The younger monk followed him across the stream. For those who do not know, monks are not supposed to go around picking up pretty young ladies. The lady went one way, the monks went the other. The young monk kept thinking about this. The master had done something wrong. He did not understand it. How could the master have done this? He kept thinking. Finally, he could bear it no longer. And he said, "Master, I have to ask a question." The master said, "Of course, ask your question." The young monk said, "Back at the stream, you carried that woman across the stream. How could you have done that?" The master looked at him and said, "What stream? What woman?" The master had put her down on the other side of the stream and had let go of any thoughts. He had no attachments. The young monk was still attached to what had happened. He thought about it. He constantly went over it in his mind. He was attached. In our giving, we need to not have attachments. If we do, we will limit the benefits of what we gain. And our attachments will keep pulling us back into reincarnation. We need to give something, whatever, and then no longer think about it. An excellent way to practice this is to give things that we own, things that we like, things that we have had for a very long time, to give it to somebody else. If we are not attached, we don't think of it again. If somebody asks us about it, we are reminded of what happened, but we don't think, "I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I still had it. I miss it." If we miss it, If we wish we hadn't done it, we are attached. And our attachments keep bringing us back into our lives in reincarnation. Give and let go. Master Jing Kong often talks about let go. We need to understand what this means. When we give, we let go. We let go of thoughts, of desires for what we had, of wishes that we had it back. We let go of our attachments. But to let go does not mean that we let go of our responsibilities. A person who had heard teacher say this wrote a fax to teacher saying, okay, I have let go. Now what do? I let go of my job. I let go of my home. I gave everything away. I have no way to earn a living. I have nothing left, no way to support my family. I let go. Now what do? This is not letting go. We are to let go of our attachments to something. We let go of the attachment, but we meet the responsibility. When we study, when we go to school, when we work, when we have responsibilities at home, responsibilities where we live, we do everything we can to meet those responsibilities as best we can. When we leave school, work, whatever, we do not constantly think, go over what we did, what we should have done, what we need to do tomorrow. We let go. While there, we did our very, very best. But when we go home or when we go somewhere else, we do our best in that environment. So everywhere we are, we do our very best. But we understand I can control, to some degree, what I do. But I can only control it as far as trying to do my best, trying to concentrate on what I am doing, trying to think clearly and do the tasks as best I can. And we can think in this way, but we cannot control things outside of ourselves. We may work on a project, and most of us have probably had this happen. We have spent much time at work, at school, doing something in an organization, and we just about got it completed. We spent a long time working on it. We tried very hard, and we feel we have done a good job. Somebody, a superior, a teacher, somebody in a position of authority, a decision maker says, that's very nice, but the plans have changed. And we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do something else instead. Most people, when this happens, would feel varying degrees of irritation, resentment, anger, frustration, I worked so hard. And now nothing will be used. We can stay attached to what we did, and we can stay angry. It's our choice. Everything comes from within us. But it's not the other person making us angry. We are making us angry. We are making ourselves frustrated, irritated. As soon as we realize this, we need to stop and think, okay, is there anything I can salvage from what I did? If not, I'll put it aside. Surely at some point I will be able to use parts of that. If nothing else, I learned from it. The next time I try to do something, maybe in this other way of doing the project, maybe I'll be able to work more efficiently, more quickly, because I learned more. Do not be attached to what we have done. Let go. Turn around and then concentrate on the new project, whatever it is we are doing, and work just as hard in that. This is the only way we improve our futures. And when we speak of our futures, we are not just talking about this lifetime, because we don't know how long our future in this lifetime will be. But we do know if we do good things, they will come back to us in the future. So we need to stop thinking of just this lifetime, but to go beyond that. We need to stop thinking of just ourselves, but to go beyond and think of others. We need to think of what we can do for them, how we can teach them, how we can give to them in everything we do. The second precept, the second principle, is called keeping the precepts. When practitioners start to practice, first, their initial formal ceremony that they go through, their announcement, their commitment to being a Buddhist, is to take the three refuges of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. This is to return to awakening, to have proper thoughts, and to live in harmony and purity. This is the meaning of taking refuge in the three jewels of the Dharma, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The next step in being a Buddhist is to take the 5 precepts. No killing, no stealing, no lying, no sexual misconduct, no intoxicants. When we speak of the principle of keeping the precepts, the meaning goes much, much farther than just keeping these very important 5 precepts. The first 4 precepts are moral responsibilities. They are found in virtually every religion, every moral teaching in this world. They are not solely Buddhist. The 5th precept, no intoxicants, is not a moral precept in nature, although many religions practice no intoxicants. The main reason for taking this precept is becoming intoxicated, losing our judgment. We may end up breaking one of the other 4 precepts or doing something wrong. The other day we were talking about no killing. There are many, many degrees of no killing and many degrees of karmic result. The most serious of killing is one of the 5 offenses for Buddhists. Killing our father, killing our mother, causing a Buddha to bleed, killing a bodhisattva or an arhat, causing disruption in the Sangha. An important word in these are intentional, because everything arises from our intentions. The intent is very important. When we think of killing, called premeditated killing, when we think of this, when we plan to kill someone, some being, and we plan, this is a very, very serious form of killing. Because at any point, we could have pulled back and said, no, I will not do it. But we thought about it, we planned, and we did it. Very heavy karmic consequence, very serious offense. There is also killing by becoming angry and in an instant losing one's temper, picking up something, striking the other person, and killing them. This is killing, but without the premeditation. There is killing of accidentally killing someone. We don't even mean to do something. We trip somebody, they fall. In a freak accident, they die. Killing, but not intentional. There is also killing other beings. We share in the killing, the karmic consequences, when we eat other beings. We share in those consequences, even if we were not directly involved in the killing. There is also killing in simply walking around, stepping on an ant that we did not even see. All degrees of the precepts. Lying is another precept. Saying anything that is not true. Degrees in this. When we purposely set out to lie, to cheat others, this is 1 degree of lying. When we have gone out with somebody, perhaps a husband or a wife, and we're in the car and we're going someplace, and one says to the other, "Do I look okay?" And perhaps what they're wearing is not quite appropriate. But it's too late to go back. If we say it does not look right, they'll be upset the entire evening. There's nothing that can be done about it. We tell a white lie. Lying but it's not intentionally setting out to defraud another. All different degrees of lying, different karmic results. Stealing. Stealing is not necessarily just walking up to somebody demanding their money, committing fraud, embezzlement. Stealing is actually taking anything that we do not have the permission of the owner. If we see something on a table, some food, we don't know who it belongs to, we eat it, we have not asked them. This is stealing. Anytime we take anything that does not belong to us, that we do not have the permission of the owner, is stealing. So there are all different degrees in the precepts. We need to understand why we need to not do these things. We need to use judgment. There is a story from the Buddha's time of a king and queen. The king lost his temper, became infuriated with one of his ministers, and said that the minister was to be put to death. The queen knew this was not like her husband. She did not know what to do, but she knew the offense was very serious. All she could think to do was to offer her husband some wine to drink. She kept giving him wine, more wine. Finally, the king just fell asleep from being intoxicated. The next morning woke up and realized he had almost killed someone. The queen went to the Buddha and said, I have broken one of the 5 precepts. I have done something very bad. And she told the Buddha what she had done. And he said, you have not broken in this instant that precept. You have lifted the precept because you did so to stop a greater harm. You did so to save a person's life. And this is why we need to understand the precepts and why the Buddha taught them to us, so that we understand all the circumstances and we make judgments. To follow the precepts, the second of the 6 paramitas, does not just mean following the 5 precepts, the monk precepts, nun precepts, or bodhisattva precepts. It also means to follow the laws, customs, rules of wherever we are. When in Singapore, we follow Singaporean law. When in Australia, we follow Australian laws. We follow the customs of where we are. This is also the meaning in following the precepts. We do not offend people who live where we are. We do things as they do them, provided these things are proper. We often speak of according with others, according with conditions. And we often say, When others are doing something, do not be attached to our own way of doing something. Follow the customs. If everybody wants to do something in a particular way, don't be the only one who insists on doing it my way. Go along with the others. But again, think. Accord with proper conditions. If we accord with conditions that are improper, then we will have things such as the Holocaust in the Second World War. So when we accord with conditions, we accord with proper conditions. We follow customs, laws, rules of where we are. We do not break the laws. Even when no one else knows what we are doing, we follow the laws. Because others may not know what we are doing, may not see what we are doing. But there is still the karmic effect. There are still beings around us in other dimensions who do know what we are doing. And they will know when we are doing something improper. So to follow the precepts means to accord with customs, rules, laws, to do what is proper for where we are. The third paramita is that of patience. We need patience in everything we do. Nothing good has ever been attained without patience. If we are studying, we need patience to sit in the classroom, to do our homework. If we work, we need patience to do the job properly. With our family, we need patience to interact with others around us. When we're in a group of people, we need patience to work well with them. With ourselves, we need to have patience and understand that we have many, many bad habits from innumerable past lifetimes. But to have patience with ourselves means we understand that we have a fault and we do not become angry with ourselves. But to have patience with ourselves doesn't mean that we keep forgiving ourselves. We forgive others. We do not keep forgiving ourselves. We have patience, we have tolerance for others. When they wish to do something, and we do not, when we think what they are doing is wrong, we do not judge them. We need to practice as Sudana did in the Flower Adornment Sutra. Sudana was determined to attain enlightenment, and he had 53 spiritual advisors. He looked upon everyone as his teacher. He saw everybody as somebody he could learn from. This is what we need to do with all others. Everyone, everything is our benevolent teacher. We can learn from everyone. We are the only student. Everyone else is our teacher. And we respect others with this manner of thinking. Many of us find the faults of others much more readily than we can determine our own faults. In his practice, Sudana did not notice the faults of others. He was too busy trying to find his own faults. He was too worried that he did not have enough time to correct his own faults, much less try to go around and fix everybody else's. He did not see the faults of others. He saw only his faults. He was tolerant of all others. To say everyone is our teacher may be confusing. Obviously, a very good person can be a good teacher. A wise person can be a good teacher. How can a murderer be a good teacher? How can a thief be our teacher? Why should I respect this person as my teacher? We look at those who are doing good and we emulate their behavior. We use them as good role models, as good examples. We look at those who are doing wrong, who are doing evil. We see what they are doing wrong, and we learn that if we ourselves do not yet have this fault, that we do not develop it in the future. We do not do this in the future. We emulate those who are good. We learn from those who are bad. And we learn not to do what they are doing that is bad. In this way, everyone is our teacher. We do not know who these people are. In our world, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas come to teach us. In the Flower Adornment Sutra, many of the teachers were very benevolent, very kind. 3 were very bad, miserable people, very cruel, dishonest, not what we would consider good people. They were played by bodhisattvas to teach others. Buddhas and bodhisattvas come to this world to teach us. We do not know who they are when we will encounter them. A bodhisattva who comes to this world to teach us may appear in the guise of someone who does everything wrong, who is evil. A bodhisattva who is helping us, a highly attained person who has achieved much attainment in their practice, is at an entirely different level than we are. They may be doing things for reasons that we know nothing about. We cannot judge others. We do not know who they are, why they are doing something. We have not enough information to judge others. We judge ourselves We do not find the faults of others. We find our faults. We concentrate on our faults. We may be judging someone as doing something wrong when they are just a very wise, very compassionate person trying to teach us in a slightly unusual way. We know nothing of this. We are not to judge others. We are to be tolerant of others. We have had good teachers. They may not. We have good conditions to be here, to be learning. They may not. We do not know their cause and condition, their cause and effect. In this lifetime, we are to practice giving to help others, giving unselfishly, giving sincerely to help all others. We are to follow the rules, the customs of where we are. And we are to practice patience, tolerance for others. We are harsh with ourselves. We are forgiving, tolerant, patient with others. Practicing these three, we will be practicing some of the ways of bodhisattvas. And when we can practice these very, very well, we will be on the path to Buddhahood. Thank you. Let us read the dedication of merit together. May the merit and virtue accrued from this work adorn the Buddha's Pure Land, repaying the four kinds of above, and relieving the suffering those in the three paths below. May those who see and hear of this all bring forth the heart of understanding and live the teachings for the rest of this life, then be born together in the land of ultimate bliss. Homage to Buddha Amitabha. Respected fellow practitioners and guests, in the last talk, we were speaking of the 6 paramitas which bodhisattvas practice. We will conclude with the remaining 3 paramitas today. The first of these is diligence. We need to be diligent in everything we do. We need to accept our responsibilities and do our best to meet those responsibilities. We have discussed according, going along with proper conditions, not insisting that others have to do things our way. But we have said, when we go along with conditions, we go along with those that are proper. And this is one of the reasons we need wisdom, another of the paramitas, because we need to be able to discern what is proper and what is improper. When we have decided that something is proper and we are to do it, we should not be deterred when things go against us. We should be determined that if something is right, then it needs to be done to the best of our abilities. If we lack diligence, then as soon as something goes wrong, we will give up and say it's too difficult. We have a habit of doing this. If we were very diligent in our practice, then we more than likely would not be here today. We have not been diligent in our past lifetimes, not as diligent as we needed to be. When we encounter problems, we need to understand why we are. Everything that is happening to us is the result of what we created in the past. So the difficulties that we encounter now are simply the result of what we have done. Understanding this, we will not blame some outside force, saying it is the will of the heavens, and then give up. We understand we destined it. We set things into action by what we have done. But how we react to them is entirely up to us. Some people who do not understand say that Buddhism is very pessimistic because we say there is much evil in this world. Buddhism is neither pessimistic nor optimistic. Buddhism is realistic. We understand why things are happening. Understanding, we use our judgment and our wisdom to determine what is the proper way to behave, and then we do so. In our practice, very often when we start our cultivation, we will begin to encounter many difficulties, many obstacles. Often these are brought about by our karmic creditors. These are beings that we owe debts to from our past lifetimes. If they think there is the possibility that we may achieve attainment in this lifetime. They know they will lose their opportunity for revenge. They will do whatever they can to cause difficulties for us. What we can do in our practice is to dedicate the merits from what we do, from our reciting the sutra, a Buddha's name, mantras, whatever our practice is. We dedicate the merits to those karmic creditors, to all beings in suffering. We ask the karmic creditors to please allow us to progress in our cultivation, that we will continue to dedicate the merits on their behalf, and that doing this, they will benefit greatly, much more than if they merely return the revenge, that if they merely get the revenge they are seeking. We tell them we will dedicate merits on their behalf. As we continue in our cultivation, as we try to move on, we can also encounter obstacles. This is perfectly normal. It is said, in the first year of our practice, the Buddha is right in front of us. In the second year, he has moved into the distance. And in the third year, he is like a cloud in the sky. We need to maintain the level of diligence that we had when we first began our practice, when we were very enthusiastic. We were enthusiastic and diligent when we knew almost nothing. Now, knowing, understanding so much more, there is much more reason for us to be able to be more diligent. And we need to be diligent as well in everything we do. We were discussing patience yesterday. Nothing is attained without patience and without diligence. At work, if we give up at the least difficulty, we will accomplish nothing. There needs to be a balance here. The balance needs to be between diligence and according, and we need to know what the differences are. We accord with others when everybody wants to do something and what they are doing is correct. We accord with them. To be diligent is to take on our responsibilities, to be determined to do something. In our determination, in our diligence, we are not attached. We need to understand all the very subtle differences here. A way to do this is to understand flexibility. We are not inflexible. We do not insist that things have to be done our way. When we insist things have to be done our way, we insist that others do them. Diligence is more internal. We ourselves are diligent in what we do. We do not give up. Every time we have difficulties, we try to determine why we are having those difficulties. Maybe it is karmic obstacles. maybe we aren't doing something correctly. Maybe a benevolent being is trying to help us, and maybe that is why we are having difficulties. Are we doing something wrong? Have we made any mistakes? Examine our behavior and make sure what we are doing is still correct. In our diligence, we need to be determined and courageous. This is spoken of in Liao Fan's 4 lessons. When we see something is correct, and we say that we will do it, we do not give up. We have practiced Buddhism many, many times before. But each of those times, something has gone wrong. If it had gone as was correct, we would not be here. But we are still in reincarnation. So we have made mistakes in our practice. Perhaps our belief was not strong enough. Perhaps we believed that the Buddha became enlightened. But perhaps we doubt that our nature is the exact same nature as his. Perhaps we doubt that we too have the ability to awaken, to become enlightened. Perhaps we do not believe. Perhaps we do not believe in cause and effect. Not as deeply as we need to. We understand it logically on a surface level, but we still react the same way that we always have. We still commit the same faults. We still make the same mistakes. So we do not truly believe in cause and effect. We do not truly believe what the Buddha told us. The Buddha told us what life is like, what existence is like in all of the Dharma realms. He told us what animal life is like. He told us what living in the hungry ghost realm was like. And in the Earth Treasure Sutra in particular, Buddha Shakyamuni explained very clearly what the hell realms are like. But we still do not believe. If we believed, we would be terrified at the thought of going there again. There is no way we would do anything wrong. But since we are still doing much that is wrong, we must not truly believe. This lack of belief is one of the reasons we are still here, and may be one of the reasons we are not quite as diligent as we need to be. If we truly believed in all of the teachings of the Buddha, there is no way we would be anything but perfectly diligent. We forgive others, and that is correct. But more than likely, we tend to forgive ourselves more than we forgive others. We lose our temper more with others than we do with ourselves. We become irritated with others. We need to be forgiving of others, very, very strict with ourselves. Those people around us, as much as they want to help us, they cannot make us change. Buddhas, bodhisattvas, understanding as they do, with the abilities that they have, cannot change us. All they can do is teach us. All they can do is set the example, hoping that one of these lifetimes we will finally begin to understand. We will finally be diligent enough to let nothing deter us. What we do in this lifetime, we do as best we can, but understand nothing in this world is real. Nothing is permanent. Nothing lasts forever. The Diamond Sutra tells us everything is illusory. Dewdrops, a flash of lightning, a mirage. It is not real. We hear this. We immediately forget it. As soon as something happens, we again fall back into our bad habits, make the same mistakes, get wrapped up thinking everything here is real. Nothing is real. Nothing is worthy of worry. What is in the past is in the past. Learn from it. Determine not to make the same mistakes. Be diligent in correcting mistakes. And then let it go. When we have been hurt by something, that plants the seed for being hurt in the future, because we have felt hurt. Each time we replay it in our minds like a movie, going over what has happened, we again plant the seed for unhappiness. Each time we go over it, we plant more seeds. Let it go. Do not concentrate on what has happened in the past. Learn, forget it. Do not constantly have wishful, wandering thoughts of the future. Wandering thoughts are improper thoughts, selfish thoughts. We often hear, do not have wandering thoughts. What are these? These are wishful thoughts, wanting things for ourselves. When it is said, do not have wandering thoughts, this does not mean do not have thoughts. Obviously, we need to think, but we need to have proper thoughts. Do not have wishful thoughts. Those are thoughts that really do not accomplish anything. Just daydreaming. We don't have time to daydream. We don't know how much time we have. But we do know that as the Buddha told us, and as common sense tells us, if our next breath does not come, this lifetime is over. We cannot afford to waste another one. We have wasted far too many. Other beings that we have known in our past lifetimes, friends, parents, children, they have already awakened. They have become enlightened. They have transcended reincarnation. They are learning in the Western Pure Land everything they need to know to come back and help all other beings transcend as well. They have already transcended. We have not. We need to be diligent. The most important thing in this life is what will happen as we are breathing our last breath. Life is not important. Our death is important because that leads us to the next life and the one thereafter. If we are diligent in this lifetime, if we make the vow that at the end of this lifetime we will be born into the Western Pure Land, if we practice very diligently, if we believe that we have the exact same nature as the Buddhas, we believe that as they have told us, we can do this, we can transcend, then we can be born into the Pure Land. The only thing that is stopping us is us. No one else can stop us. Not if we are determined. It's all a play. People acting out parts. Do not believe it is the true reality. It is as a dream. At night when we dream, when we have a frightening dream, we wake up. We know we're awake. Our hearts are still pounding. we still feel that fear. Gradually, our hearts calm down. The fear subsides. But in that dream, we were terrified. We believed it was real. We are in a much, much longer dream. But it is just a dream. We need to awaken from that dream. In our diligence, we need to not be deterred. We need to develop the next paramita of deep concentration, because this will help us greatly in our practice. If we have deep concentration, we will not be distracted by the countless things that go on around us. We will not be distracted by the countless things that go on within us. Our emotions, our wandering thoughts, our differentiating, discriminating thoughts between others and us, yours, mine. None of this is important. None of it is real. There is no such thing as you, me, yours, mine. To think that is as silly as saying something belongs to my one hand but not to my other hand. There is no difference. You and I are one. It is not yours. It is not mine. It is ours. Everything is one. Let go of thoughts of others and us. That leads us to differentiate. That leads us to protect ourselves. That leads us to thinking that what we are doing is real. That leads us to being mired here in reincarnation. To attain deep concentration, we can chant the name of Buddha Amitabha and concentrate solely on the sound of that name to replace other thoughts. But also, when we are at work, at study, doing anything, we can also practice deep concentration. Deep concentration is not having wandering thoughts. It is being focused on what we are doing. When we are in deep concentration, we are conserving our energy. We waste energy with wandering thoughts. In Liao Fan's 4 lesson, when Mr. Liao Fan first met Master Yuan Gu, they sat for 3 days in meditation. No break, no rest, no lunch, dinner. No sleeping for 8 hours at night. They didn't become tired. Why? they maintained deep concentration. They wasted no energy. When we are doing something we enjoy, we find it very easy to concentrate. When we are reading a very good book, watching an engrossing movie, a television program, perhaps the telephone rings, we ignore it. We're wrapped up in the book. We are concentrating. Deep concentration is to be totally focused on what we are doing, single-mindedly concentrating. We do this in everything we do. When we are at work, we can practice deep concentration. When we do so, we will be able to come up with a solution to problems much more quickly. When we are concentrating and somebody says, "It's time for lunch," we'll say, "Fine, you go ahead, I'll join you in a minute." And then realize 2 hours later, we're still working and we're really not hungry. We need deep concentration in our practice. A long time ago, a minister was trying to teach someone deep concentration, how to focus. The person was not getting the idea. The minister said, "Fine. I am going to give you a bowl and I am filling it with oil. It will be filled to the brim. You cannot spill one drop. If you do, you will be killed. You are to take this bowl. You are to walk all the way to the village. Turn around and come back. Do not spill one drop. Your very life depends on this." The person took the bowl and started to walk to the village. The minister called some people over, said, "Find the musicians, find the dancers, tell them to stand along the side of the road. Play his favorite music, dance, do everything you can to distract him. Now, go." And the minister waited to see what would happen. After a long time, down the road, he saw the person coming back with the bowl. Very carefully, very slowly, the person came up, handed the minister the bowl. The minister looked at it and said, "Ah, all the oil is there. Very good. I'm curious. How did you like the music? What did you think of the dancing?" The person looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, what music? What dancing? I didn't notice anything." He was concentrating. Nothing distracted him. His life depended on returning that bowl with all the oil in it. His life depended on concentrating. Our lives depend even more so on our concentration. That person would have been killed one time. We don't know where our next lifetimes will be. We need to be even more focused than that person was in everything we do. When we practice deep concentration at work, it will help us in our concentration in the cultivation hall. It is training the mind. The more we exercise this, just like exercising ourselves physically, when we do an exercise repeatedly, we get better at it, we get stronger. We're doing the same thing with our concentration. The more we exercise the mind in concentrating, the better it becomes, the stronger our concentration. This will help us do better in everything we do. In our studies, when we are able to concentrate, we will remember much more easily. We will understand much more. We will be able to accomplish much more in class. At work, when we concentrate, we will get our work done better, quicker. If we want to do well at work, concentration will help us do better. Any group that we are in, concentration will help us. Everything we do, we need concentration. When we are focused, we will use much less energy. We will not become as hungry. We will not become as tired. When we have something to do, and we really don't want to do it, and we're having difficulty concentrating, we sit down, we start to do something, somebody walks by and says something, and in an instant we're up and we're following them, talking to them. We come back several minutes later, sit down, try to focus again. Somebody comes over, offers us something to eat, we say, "Oh good, I like that," and start eating. Our mind has wandered off again. Accomplishing anything in this way takes a very long time and will not be done well. We need the concentration to benefit from everything we do. With deep concentration, we will be able to listen to the teachings of the Buddha, and we will understand them much better than we have done so previously. We stay in the cultivation hall to practice, to cultivate, to improve, to attain deep concentration. We use that deep concentration when listening to the teachings to be able to understand. Our cultivation and our listening to the teachings go hand in hand. We cultivate to attain the concentration, to calm the wandering thoughts, to be able to focus on what we are hearing. We listen and we focus on those teachings to learn why we cultivate. They are complementary. We need to do both on a daily basis. Deep concentration will allow the wandering thoughts to gradually be reduced. When they are reduced, we will start to naturally give rise to our innate wisdom. And wisdom is the sixth paramita. This is not worldly wisdom. This is not knowledge, what we go to school to learn, what we learn throughout our lives, in our reading, through our experience. This wisdom is innate wisdom. It is perfect understanding. People who have wisdom can hear a very complicated problem just one time and intuitively know how to solve it. We too have this ability. They have begun to uncover their wisdom. Ours is still buried very, very deeply within us. It is buried by our bad habits, our faults, our attachments, our worrying about things, our greed, our anger, our arrogance, our ignorance. We are deluded. We do not understand. We listen. We hear the words. We don't understand. If we can practice, if we can concentrate, the wandering thoughts will calm down and that wisdom will start to arise from within us. It is perfect. Our compassion is perfect. Our abilities are perfect. They're already inside of us. We don't need to seek from outside of ourselves. Everything we need, we already have. The only being who is keeping us from uncovering this wisdom, compassion, loving kindness is us. We have an unbelievably rare opportunity. We cannot begin to understand how rare it is. Imagine a vast ocean, larger than anything we have in this world, larger than many, many worlds. at the bottom, the deepest part of that ocean, imagine one tiny bubble. Imagine it rising to the surface of that ocean. And imagine one very small wreath of flowers floating on the surface of that ocean. Imagine that bubble rising slowly to the surface to break through the surface within that one wreath of flowers. If we can begin to imagine what that is like, then we will begin to understand how rare it is to be sitting here listening to the wisdom of the Buddhas. When Buddhism is gone from this world, and Buddha Shakyamuni told us how long the teachings would remain, when they are gone from this world in about 9,000 years, there will be no Buddha to teach us for approximately 6 billion years. We cannot imagine this number. How long did we have to wait for Buddha Shakyamuni to be born? And he lived a mere 8 decades. He taught 49 years. We are living in times of some peace, some warfare, but for us here in Australia, things are peaceful. We have very good conditions. People here are well educated. They can have good jobs. They have the time to study, to learn. We have very good conditions here. We have practiced many, many lifetimes. We have listened to the teachings an uncountable number of times. We have said, I will become a Buddha, innumerable times. We have told others, I will go to the Western Pure Land. I will come back. I will help you. Many times. We have not done so. We are still here. They, beings that we promised to help, are still here. We do not go to the Western Pure Land for ourselves. We go there to help all others. We go there to learn all the different methods. We don't need to learn them now. We need one method for us. That is the Pure Land method. The other methods are equally good, perhaps more suitable for others than for us. We have found the method that is appropriate for us, or we would not keep coming back for the cultivation, for the lectures, to be here. So this is our method of practice. We have found the right method. We have found the good teacher. Our conditions are unbelievably good. We have no idea when was the last time we were able to practice Buddhism. And we have no idea, if we do not achieve attainment in this lifetime by being born into the Pure Land, when we will again hear the teachings. Nothing else is important. Do the best in what you do. Do not attach to it. Concentrate. Vow to be born into the Western Pure Land. Practice chanting the name of Buddha Amitabha. Recite the Infinite Life Sutra. If you cannot recite the Infinite Life Sutra, recite the Amitabha Sutra. Read these sutras, one or the other. Concentrate in one. Recite one Buddha's name. Recite one sutra. Practice one method. Believe what the Buddhas tell us. The teachings of all Buddhas are the same, because the teachings of all the Buddhas are the truth. And the truth does not change. What Buddha Shakyamuni said 3,000 years ago was the truth. It is still the truth. It will always remain the truth. Buddha Shakyamuni told us of Buddha Amitabha and the Western Pure Land. He told us in our Dharma ending age, this would be a primary way of practice, of transcending reincarnation. Because Buddha Shakyamuni knew the problems we would have. He knew all about our bad habits, our wandering, differentiating thoughts. He knew beings in our Dharma ending age could not do it alone. We need the help of Buddha Amitabha. But even Buddha Amitabha cannot do it for us. He can only help us as a good teacher helps a good student. We are simply asking Buddha Amitabha to please help us, because his wisdom is perfect. His abilities are perfect. He can do so much more than we can. He can teach us what we need to. concentrate on His name. Everything arises from the mind. If we are single-mindedly mindful of Buddha Amitabha, nothing else is in our mind. Only the thought, Buddha Amitabha. When we are thinking only of the Buddha, we are a Buddha in that instant. Everything in the universe is one. There's no difference between us and the Buddhas. We just haven't figured that out yet. But when we are perfectly mindful of them, single-minded of them, in that instant, we are one with them, for we are tapping into that true nature, that Buddha nature within us. This is how we are born into the Pure Land. And when we are mindful of Him more and more every day, then we are building that deep concentration. We are accumulating much goodness. And if we are able to focus on that in our very last moments, as we are about to breathe our last, then finally, in this lifetime, we will be able to be reborn into the Western Pure Land. We do not do this for ourselves. We do this for the benefit of all the beings throughout the universe. Thank you. Let us read the dedication of merit. May the merit and virtue accrued from this work adorn the Buddha's Pure Land, repaying the four kindnesses above and repaying the suffering in the three paths below. May those who see and hear of this all bring forth the heart of understanding and live the teachings for the rest of this life, then be born together in the land of ultimate bliss. Homage to Buddha Amitabha. In the past year, our world changed dramatically. It will never be the same, and we will never be the same. In the United States, on the 11th of September, several thousand people died. They died in New York, in Washington, in Pennsylvania. They died because someone wanted revenge. They died because people do not understand that the consequences of everything we do will come back to us. If we kill, we will in turn be killed. If we destroy the security of others, we ourselves will not be safe. If, out of our anger, we seek revenge, thinking that revenge will solve our problems, we are tragically mistaken. Revenge solves nothing. If we believe that an eye for an eye is reasonable and fair, then the whole world will become blind, and we will be lost. The anger which led to the desire for revenge did not begin in this lifetime. It began many, many lifetimes ago. And this cycle of anger has not ended. We will have to pay a dreadful price for destroying deliberately the lives of others. This is not a threat. It is a statement of reality, of a natural law called karma. Our every thought, word, and deed plant a seed in our most subtle consciousness. This consciousness passes from one lifetime to the next. We have lived innumerable lifetimes. We have lived as humans. We have lived as animals. We have lived as beings in the hell realms. We have even lived as heavenly beings. None of these lives were permanent. Some have been very short, others incredibly long. At the end of each lifetime, the consciousness moved from one life to the next. We die and are born again, die again, are born again. If we are good, we rise through the cycle of reincarnation. Good means we have no thoughts of self-benefit. Good also means we unconditionally help others. We do not count the cost to ourselves. We are filial to our parents and respectful to our teachers and elders. We are compassionate and do not kill any living beings. We are faithful to our husbands or wives. We are generous and do not steal. We are honest and do not lie. We do not use language that is harsh. We do not use enticing words. We do not use divisive speech. We do not gossip. To be good means to do all of these. So due to our exemplary behavior, our speech and thoughts, our lives gradually become better and better. Then, at some point, because we have been thinking selflessly and had created and accumulated goodness, our lives become very good. We are very comfortable. We have position and wealth. And we begin to think that it is our right to enjoy ourselves. We forget about being good. We stop helping others. We become selfish. We start to enjoy all the benefits that we have created and accumulated over all those lifetimes. Intelligence, happiness, prosperity. We gradually use up our store of good fortune, which we created. Just as we rose through the cycle of reincarnation, now we begin to descend. Our greed leads us to the hungry ghost realms. Our ignorance leads us to the animal realms. And our anger leads us to the hell realms. We rise and then we fall. We rise again only to fall again. We have done this over and over and over again. In each of those lifetimes, we planted many seeds. One of those seeds was anger. Unfortunately, instead of nurturing the good seeds within each of us, the seeds of compassion and generosity, of loving kindness and selflessness, we constantly nurture those seeds of anger. We do this because we do not understand the true reality. We do not understand why things happen. We do not understand that all these lifetimes are connected. We do not understand that we are not individuals, but we are all part of one another. We are all one being. To hurt another is as pointless as one's left hand picking a fight with one's right hand. Presently, we cannot see this. We think that each one of us is an individual. We think that we need to protect ourselves individually. We think we can hold on to material possessions and beliefs. We believe that we are real and permanent. We think we are right. Others are wrong. And therefore, we logically conclude, if I am right and you are wrong, then you need to change the way you think and begin to think and act as I do. And so, we become wrapped up in our own egos, our own views. Then we may begin to justify the thought that because our ideas and beliefs are superior to those of others, that we have the right to kill another, to kill hundreds, to kill thousands of people. The anger that leads to conflict, to hatred, goes back a long, long time. It began innocently enough. Most of the time, when we are speaking with another, we are simply not being careful. We speak without thinking. We carelessly say something and hurt another's feelings. But all the while, we remain unaware of what we have done. We may not have realized it, but we have contributed to planting another seed of anger in the consciousness of another person. They may not think anything of it, at least until the next lifetime when we again meet. And that seed matures. This next time, the other person will say something to us. And this time, there will be a slight trace of animosity, just a bit of irritation. Again, this incident is registered in our consciousness. This enmity is passed back and forth over and over the ensuing lifetimes. If we do not meet for 1,000 lifetimes, it will lie dormant for 1,000 lifetimes. When the time is right and we meet again, the irritation will surface. Each time it is passed on, it grows more serious. At some point, it will turn into hatred. At some point, that hatred will explode and one of us will kill the other. At some point, killing one another will no longer satisfy the desire for revenge. Then, one of us will exact a way, devise a plan to get revenge, and will kill thousands of people. The subsequent response of the United States and our allies to bomb Afghanistan will solve nothing. We have once again nurtured the seeds of hatred and murder. And the next time, the tragedy will be even worse. Cause and effect are a continuous cycle. A cause triggers a result. That result then becomes a new cause which triggers another result. It becomes another cause with another result. On and on, over and over, ad infinitum. This chain not only affects us, but others as well. We do something, and it affects those who are around us. In their response to us, they affect someone else. This creates a wave-like response of cause and effect that moves out in an ever-widening circle. The ripple effect of one drop of water splashing in the ocean thus results in all the other drops of water in that ocean moving. The rage that leads to such calculated revenge, to killing, will result in killing. They may occur on a large scale. They may occur much closer to home. We are led to our next lifetime by our thoughts as we are dying in the present lifetime. If we die in terror, pain, and anguish, those emotions are very likely to lead us to the desire to retaliate. This desire for retaliation could lead us to our future parents, perhaps even in the next lifetime. We choose our parents for one of 4 reasons. We are drawn to them as a level of consciousness is drawn to a single beam of light in the darkness. We are born to our parents to repay kindness, to have kindness repaid to us, to repay a debt, or to exact repayment for a debt. The person who dies in terror, pain, anguish, who follows those emotions to choose his or her future parents, will exact a dreadful repayment. It is imperative that we understand what is happening around us. As individuals, far removed from the geopolitical decision-making process, we cannot stop today's wars in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, in other areas around the world. But we can stop the wars within ourselves. We can become aware of our thoughts and feelings. We can become alert to what we are saying and doing. We do not have to give in to negative emotions. We do so because it is easy and because we are very lazy. Thus, we fall back into countless negative habits of all those lifetimes. We may not be able to stop one country from bombing another today, but we can change the way we think, the way we react, and in this way, we can gradually bring about changes throughout our world for tomorrow. Our lives today are the direct result of what we did in the past. What we did today will create our futures. If we helped someone today, We have planted the seeds for being helped in the future. If we hurt someone today, we have planted seeds for more suffering in the future. When we understand this, we can resolve to make a difference for ourselves, for all those around us. How can we do this? Our thoughts are perceived by others. We all know people who, upon entering a room, immediately cheer everyone up. Unfortunately, we also know others whose very presence seems to dampen the atmosphere. Others create tension and discomfort. We can sense their thoughts and their feelings. Actually, those thoughts and feelings go much further than just that one room. We are all one. Throughout the universe, there is only one being. A thought arising from us instantly is perceived throughout the universe. If we are happy and feel calm, others will perceive that. If we become agitated and irritated, those are the thoughts and feelings we are emitting. When our anger starts to arise, most of us are not even aware of it because we are so used to being angry. It feels normal. This person always irritates me. What is so unusual about that? This is how we react from our human nature, not from our true nature. Our true nature, which is the same as all other beings' true nature, has perfect compassion, perfect caring, perfect goodness. We have not yet uncovered this true nature. We keep burying it deeper and deeper under our greed and selfishness, under our belief that others must do as we do, under our belief that happiness comes from outside ourselves. The Buddha told us about 3 poisons: greed, anger, and ignorance. We incessantly want things. We want to be right all the time. We want to be happy all the time. We think that getting new things in our lives will make us happy, be it a new job, a new house, a new person, a new pair of shoes. We think these will make us happy. But on the rare occasions that we do get what we want, very quickly the object loses its appeal. We start thinking that we want a better job, a bigger house, a younger person, a nicer pair of shoes. Why not? The old one is no longer making us happy. And in our society, when something or someone no longer makes us happy, we toss it or them aside and go out looking for a new one. It will not work. Happiness comes from within us. We achieve it when we touch our true nature, when we let go of the thoughts that others must believe as we do, when we realize that material possessions, that controlling others, will not make us happy. We have all heard of people with great wealth who live in fear and isolation. They worry constantly about losing their lives, their possessions. They become alienated from their own children. Actually, we need very little. We only require so much food to nourish ourselves, and we can be very comfortable with relatively little space. And we can only wear one pair of shoes. If we can be contented with what we have and who we are, we may begin to reach that natural joy that is already within us. We need to do the best we can to meet our responsibilities. But when things do not go the way we wish, remember, we can only change ourselves and our own lives. Do not get upset when circumstances do not meet our expectations. For the reality is that life rarely goes as we wish. The Buddha said that this world is one of suffering, that life is unsatisfactory. Then he told us there is a way to end suffering, and he taught us the way to end it. If you think that you are not suffering, please think again. Every one of us undergoes birth, old age, sickness, and death. Very often we find ourselves in the presence of those we do not like. Very often we find ourselves separated from those we love. And most of the time, we do not obtain what we hope for. Basically, things do not go as we wish. If we understand that these are a part of life, of our existence, we will not be surprised when they happen. We have undergone them before. We will undergo them again. But if we can say to ourselves, okay, things did not go as I wanted, but that is the way life is. Becoming frustrated or angry will solve nothing. It will only make the situation worse. Understanding that things do not usually go the way I want, I will not be surprised when this happens, and I will just accord with proper conditions. If we can begin to do this, and yes, this is very difficult to do, we will find ourselves becoming less upset when things do not go as we had planned. we will remain calm, and we will become happier. Not getting our way is really not that important. Do not be attached to the idea that things have to go the way we want. Society tells us that we must have a strong ego. We need it to succeed at work. We need it often just to get to work. We feel we must assert our rights. This is what we have been taught. But asserting our rights at the expense and the happiness of others will not make us truly happy. Trying to accomplish things at the expense of others is wrong. It will not make us permanently happy. Forget the idea that everyone else has to act and think as we do. Instead, we can ask ourselves, how can I truly help this other person? What do they need right now? If we are able to do this unconditionally, without any expectation of reward, if we can let go of constant thoughts of I, me, mine, and think only of others, we can think of all sorts of ways to help others. We can give material resources. We can give of our time and abilities. If we see someone having a difficult time and does not have enough to eat, we can provide them with food. Then we can find ways to teach them what they need to know to become self-reliant. Or if we see someone who is upset, we can simply smile at him or her. This costs us nothing. But this simple act accomplishes one of the major forms of giving, that of removing the fears, the insecurities of others. Once we start practicing giving, we will begin to feel happier because we will be acting from our true nature, which has perfect happiness already within it. Our human nature keeps prodding. Keep it. Don't give away anything. Keep whatever you have. Our true nature prompts. Help others. Do not hold anything back. Give whatever others need. When we give from our true nature, we will receive all that we could wish for. But to do this, we need to offer without any thoughts of self-benefit, without thinking of ourselves. We can give others happiness, security, knowledge. How can we do this? We can let go of our greed. We can let go of our anger. We do not have to hold on to them. When someone constantly irritates us, We can consider, why does this person annoy only me? Why does everyone else in the room seem perfectly okay? None of them is reacting the way I am. Why is this person irritating only me? Why are these words bothering me alone? It should be obvious to us then that this anger did not start today. This irritation and anger has a history, for it has been passed back and forth over many lifetimes. We can decide there and then that we do not enjoy feeling this way, and that we do not want the situation to get any worse in the future. Also, in such a situation, it is not we alone who are unhappy. The other person is also feeling the tension and anger. But in all likelihood, they do not understand what is happening. For their sake and ours, we must let go of our anger. Most of the time, we hold on to it. We cherish it. We fondly go over memories of how much this person or that person has hurt us. Anger is like an addiction. Not only did we get upset the first time, but we keep going over and over it, like watching a favorite movie, constantly replanting more seeds, relentlessly nurturing those seeds of anger, allowing the poison to spread and grow. When this happens, we must realize what is happening for their sake, for our sake, for the sake of all people, all beings. You must stop it now. Let go of the anger. We really do not need it. For the sake of all beings throughout the universe, let it go. It is not part of who we really are. It is a very, very damaging habit that we keep falling into. It will destroy us. As was said earlier, we are so used to being angry that we do not even realize that we are angry. At some point, we suddenly realize what has happened. That once again, we have lost our tempers. The next time this realization occurs, begin to allow the anger to dissolve, not grow. Gradually, we will catch negative emotions such as anger a little more quickly as we become a little more mindful. We will still get angry, but we will recognize it sooner. We will begin to let go of it a little earlier. This will take time, but we must do this. Hatred, killing, war. There is so much of it in our world today. And it is getting worse. Even our environment is being affected by our anger. Our world is literally becoming warmer. We may think this is the result of climatic changes and pollution. We are right about the cause being pollution, but we are wrong about its form. What is damaging our world is the pollution in our minds, in our hearts. We are collectively feeling so much anger that we are literally heating up our world. The Buddha told us that anger is the cause of being born into the hell realms. Being so immersed in our anger, we do not have to wait to be born there. A person who is immersed in anger is already in hell. If we do not stop and change ourselves now, we will destroy ourselves and our world. There will be no future for our children. We must realize the enormity of this. We cannot afford to sit back and say that the hatred has nothing to do with us, that the killing is happening in another part of the world. The anger and hatred are affecting every inch of our world. Nothing is worthy of anger. Nothing is worthy of hatred. Nothing is worthy of killing. Nothing. When we came into this life, we brought nothing with us except our own karma. And when we leave this life, we will take nothing with us except our karma. Selfishness, intolerance, hatred have no place in our true nature. We can resolve that we will react differently the next time we become aware of our anger. When we see that person who upsets us so much and feel ourselves giving in to anger, we can realize our antagonist is also unhappy and is also suffering. Then we can let go of the anger and be mindful of what we are doing. We can let go of the past. Let go of unhappiness, worries, and problems. If we look back on the day and realize that we have made mistakes, we can ask what we did wrong, determine how to correct those mistakes and not do them in the future. We need to do whatever is necessary to plan for the future, to meet our responsibilities in everything we do, and then quit worrying about the future. Most of the things we worry about never transpire. Focus on what we are doing right now. Concentrate. Pay attention. If we are mindful and focus on what we are doing, we will not carelessly say something that will hurt another. Because in our speaking with that person, we will not be looking around the room or thinking of what we are going to say as soon as they stop talking. Instead, we will be listening and observing. If we say something upsetting, we will immediately notice their reaction. We will be able to go back and find out what we said that upset them. We will then correct it. If we just carefully listen to other people, we can alleviate so much pain. Most of the time, when people have a problem, all they want is someone to just listen to them. Somebody who will not judge them. Somebody they can feel safe with. We can become that somebody for others. We can be the caring person that they are looking for and that we wish to be. Everything arises from the mind. Hatred, hostility, vengeance. We can also give rise to loving kindness, compassion, gentleness, and forgiveness. We have free will. We can decide what we will do, who we wish to be. We created who we are today. We can recreate who we will be tomorrow. Our world is a reflection of all our thoughts, the thoughts of a collective consciousness. We can influence others for the good by what we are thinking and feeling. We may not stop the bombs that will be ignited tomorrow. But if we are sincerely thinking of helping others, of peace, of acceptance, then as our thoughts are perceived throughout the universe, we may be able to stop those bombs from being ignited 10 years from now. All we need to do is resolve to stop that bitterness and hatred, that seeking of revenge, that believing that an eye for an eye is correct. It must all end now. If we fail to do this, then the world will become blind to reality, to reason, and to what is right. And we will be lost. Amitabha.